Right, good evening traders. This is August 31st, last day of the month, 2023. And my name is John Kerrigan and I moderate the BYOB trading room. So here what we got is a bull run here, back up over the midpoint. Now, I would like to see price come back and test the midpoint, but they continue to bull flag again today, moving over to the right, making a higher high and a higher low. So we knocked on the door of quadrant 4 earlier today, and since then we've been just drifting lower for the rest of the day. We'll take a look at it here. Here's us knocking on the door of quadrant 4, and here's our drift lower right here. So we'll see what happens for today. I'd like to see us come down here and probably spike this before moving higher. So there we are with the SPY. So the pivot for today is going to be, for tomorrow, it's going to be this 450, 150. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. So this will be the red pivot for tomorrow. 450, 150. And we'll take care of this one right now. Alright, so above that, I'm a bull. Below that, I'm a bear. We'll see what happens when Broadcom reports. Now, let's go take a look at the SPY. SPY's been bullish. Let's go take a look at QQQ. Alright, so here's the Qs. Right here, bullish run. Let's look at it on the daily. Zoom in. Alright, here's our pullback right here. And we measure it in the quad lines. And notice, price action brought us up. And we're knocking on the door quadrant 4. So here is our trend line that starts back in January, actually the beginning of this year. And you can see we're back above the trend line, knocking on the door for quadrant 4, right up into, see these humps right here? This is the major resistance right up there, these two humps. All right, so it was setting up a head and shoulders pattern, but if price happens to trade up over the head here, the highs of this bump, these two bumps here, then that will negate the head and shoulders pattern. So here's QQQ working its way up, knocking on the door of quadrant 4, still climbing back into the uptrend there on QQQ after this pullback here. They had an hourly pullback. So IWM also setting up a possible head and shoulders. IWM not quite as strong as the QQQ or the SPY. IWM making a higher low and a higher high. Not much of a higher high, but still yet again another price candle that's moving up with a higher low and a higher high, knocking on the door of the midpoint. This is the high. Here's the pullback, knocking on the door of the midpoint. Notice IWM did put in a higher low. Pressure will be on the bulls to produce that higher high. First, they're going to have to get over this midpoint right here. We'll see what they want to do. So there's IWM. Acting bullish, but still bearish in my eyes till it starts closing candles above the midpoint here. So that's IWM. Now let's look at the diamonds. Here's the Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow putting in a volatile day because it's made a lower low and a lower high. And it's closed below the midpoint here on the diamonds. So not a good sign. Closing above the midpoint, closing below the midpoint. Still moving up in this trend. So here's the Diamond Dow spiking into the minor resistance here. See these tails that stick down? I'll move this out of the way for just a second. See these candles that stick down? That's the minor resistance. The candles that stick up, all these tails and wicks up here, that's the major resistance up there. So there's the Diamond Dow getting rejected at the minor resistance. Not a good sign. Notice it too has made a higher low. So pressure will be on the bulls to make that higher high. And again, on the head and shoulders pattern that seems to be setting up, once price has traded up over the head here, over the hairline, this high right up here, that will negate the head and shoulders pattern. So here we are with the Diamond Dow. Now let's take a look at SMH. SMH looked like it had a pretty good day. SMH continuing to bully here. Higher low, higher high, everything looking good in SMH. On the bigger picture, we have a bull flag. This would be the flagpole, this rally up, and then this would consolidation through the shaded area. That would be our bull flag. Very sloppy bull flag, nonetheless a bull flag. So there's SMH closing candles up in quadrant 4. That's very bullish. All right, let's take a look at IYT. IYT has a bear flag here. So here's a move down and a move over to the right. So IYT still in the bear flag, unable to break the bottom or the top of that flag right there on IYT. So still a lot of work to do for this pullback in IYT. If we put the quad lines in, you can see we're all the way back into quadrant 1. Still stuck in quadrant 1. IYT transports not looking good at all. All right, so now let's go take a look at financials. Okay, so here's our financials, our move up, our pullback. And if we look at this, here's our pullback. Where are we? Closing in quadrant 2. No strength from the financials or the transports. Only the semiconductors and the technology sector seems to be participating in this rally. So XLF, although it is slightly participating, the technology and the semiconductors have an edge as they are gaining higher. So here's XLF closing in quadrant 2. Not a good sign again, but nonetheless probably starting a brand new uptrend here. We'll see what happens. Bouncing off of minor support. Minor support's going to be this peak right there. You can see price comes down, this peak goes up, and right in the middle there is where it bounces up. Right there, see that? Down to minor support and bounce up. As long as price continues to bounce on minor support, this will be bullish. As long as it makes the higher highs every time it bounces. So pressure is on the bulls, just like the IWM, to produce that higher high. We'll see what it's going to do. Still has to get up over the midpoint first. So may need a day or two rest before breaking through. Like to see it start leaning on the midpoint so it can get up there. All right, let's take a look at our indicators. T2122. We were in the buy zone for the most part of the day, and then we fell out. Now we're back into the chop zone, making lower lows and lower highs, falling out of the buy zone right up here. T2123 on the 15-minute chart had a lot of space between the trend indicator and the price action, and then price came tumbling down. So we got a mixed bag at the end of the day, some red, some green, ending the day with some red price action well below the trend indicator here on the very last candle. T2123. Now let's take a look at our dollar. And if we look at the dollar moving up. So dollar grinding back up towards these highs. Now what's over here on these highs? What do we got? Let's trash that. Get the arrows out. Okay, right here. All these wicks right through here. All these represent major resistance. Okay? That's provided price is underneath it. So you can see price is underneath it, and it again will attack major resistance. That's these wicks right here. Notice they're kind of on the same plane. Minor support was these wicks here. All right, so you can see where price came down to these wicks. All right, right through here and bounced back up. So we bounced off of minor support. Now the question is, will we be able to breach the major resistance up here? We'll see what happens. Dollar moving up, market moving down. So that's typically what happens when the dollar moves up, market moves down. Means the dollar is strong, and it means it's more expensive to buy our goods and services on the global stage, and it makes us less competitive. We like a cheap dollar. You notice that's why the Chinese have such a low yen rate, or yuan. Not sure which one they use, but it's very inexpensive, and evidently they do sell and move a lot of product because they have cheap currency. So let's take a look at the economic calendar tomorrow. Let's remember today we had jobless claims at 8:30, personal income and outlays at 8:30. Neither one seemed to have moved the market much. Susan Collins spoke at 9. Not much happened with her speech. Raphael Bostic speaks at 6 a.m. tomorrow, well before the market opens. The employment situation at 8:30. Remember, jobless claims didn't seem to do much help for us today. We also got PMI manufacturing final, so evidently they're going to audit it and see where it really should show up. ISM manufacturing index happens at 10. We'll see what happens if that's going to make a difference tomorrow. Excuse me, I don't foresee employment situation really rattling the cage of any the markets at all, being since jobless claims didn't do much at all for us today. So we'll see what happens. So we went with the dollar. Max Payne for tomorrow in the pre-market here. Almost 3-to-1 put to call ratio. They could do a bear squeeze. It's options expiration Friday. We'll see what they want to do, whether they want to grind it higher or take it lower down to 445. Broadcom reports today after the close. Right here, AVGO. It's almost, it's over 1/3 of a trillion. So it's probably going to move the markets if it has good numbers. We'll see what happens with Broadcom later in the day. Now, UBS, also a big one, not quite as big as Broadcom. VMware also reporting later on. Lululemon, they're reporting as well. So got a lot of retail, a little bit of dollars. Got a mixed bag here. Got some technology, some financials, and then we got some more technology with MongoDB. So we'll see what happens here. All right. Now let's run back. Let's take a look at UNG. So let's take a look at the commodities. They were doing well yesterday. So here's UNG on the daily chart, putting in a green candle with a higher low and a higher high. Not quite able to close up over the midpoint, but nonetheless a green candle with a higher low and a higher high. Still looking bullish at this time. It would look even better if it was up over the midpoint. So we'll see what it wants to do. UNG on the bigger picture, if we squeeze this all the way out, you've got a big hockey stick, a big, long bear flag right there. So maybe eventually it will break out of this $6-8 range here, between 6 and 8. It's been in here for quite a while, about 5 months. So we'll see. Now let's go take a look at USO. So here's crude oil. Crude oil putting in the bull flag, kind of a sloppy bull flag, but still a bull flag. We had a little mini head and shoulders, and you can see price is all ready to take out that top of that hairline there, thereby negating the head and shoulders pattern. Still in a bull flag, USO. Like to see this cool off for another week or another month, really. Just kind of cool off. It got up there kind of quickly, so like to see USO cool off, but it's ready to go today. So gapping up with a higher low and a higher high there on USO. GLD. All right, gold. Gold finding some resistance with a lower low and a lower high back at the midpoint. Maybe it's a midpoint check. We'll see what happens. But there's gold pulling back to the midpoint and kind of got walloped down by this downtrend. We'll see what happens tomorrow. This is a bullish sign. Nice measured move from the bottom to the waffle zone and then up to the trend line. So we'll see if they can find a home on the backside of this downtrend line and maybe produce a J-hook to the upside. We'll see. No guarantees. We're still not up over the midpoint. Well, no, we are. If we could do that, that would look good for the GLD. Silver. Silver was bullish and again bouncing away from its downtrend line. Notice silver, if we back this all the way out, is well up over the midpoint, closing in the upper third. That is a very bullish situation, closing in the upper third. So we'll see what silver wants to do. If they can just hold it up here and bull flag for a week or two, that would be nice. We'll see what happens with silver. Now let's take a look at some questions. And that's it, traders, for right now. All right. So the only thing I bought today, I bought some UNG. And I bought it at the trend line. Right here. I bought some UNG at the trend line today. I bought, what else did I buy? I bought a little bit of AMC. And that looks like it's rolling over on me. So I'll get burned by AMC. And what else did I buy? That's it. I'm still holding Fitboy long right there. And still holding Rivian long right there. And I'm still holding General Mills short right here. And still holding CVS short right here. Everything seems to have gone down lower than it really was before I looked at it. Did Broadcom report? Anyways, trading down after the market, AVGO. Oh, wow. Okay, so they got walloped there. Not too bad, really. 900 is not bad at all, considering they were at 922, and they pulled back to 800. Hanging out at 902, 904 is very bullish, really. So we'll see what happens here. All right, traders, that's the market wrap-up for BYOB. I'm going to end this YouTube video, but I will take questions from everybody in the room.